Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the men's room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the men's room.
Hello, there we go. Welcome to show number 2797. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, D. Ted Smith, Robin Fox, and my cock, Montgomery. That's it. Are in the men's room. On tap today, it is Seattle Rock Day, Bacholas. Nothing but the best from the Seattle rock scene all day. And coming up on the program, from the Screaming Trees, Mad Season, and Walking Papers, give it up for Barrett Martin in studio. Get ready to play the lovely game known as Profile This. Plus headlines, the men's room shot of the day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Click, clack, drinking to drunk.
All right, here we go. Pittsburgh couple busted for running a brothel from an apartment with 3 kids inside. Meanwhile, next door in Ohio, zombie raccoons remind you can run, but you can't hide.
Trash.
Indiana woman has good reason to buy every cupcake in the store. North Carolina posts video of a mother of a 1-year-old smoking pot for all to adore. And now the crazy teens are doing what they call the 24-hour challenge.
Oh, boy.
That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. Today, as you well know, is Seattle Rock Day. Yes, I'm losing my voice.
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, dude. I mean,
Jesus.
I've been drinking tea all morning, and let me just specify, I hate tea. It is not good. Tea is awful. Yeah. Nevertheless, today is Seattle Rock Day. So Seattle Rock Day, obviously, in and among itself, no better city as far as putting out rock. Probably no longer a history of doing so. And yes, people can argue Los Angeles. Just remember, Los Angeles gave us Poison. So back to Seattle, where we don't do things like that. We gave you some Heart, Queensrÿche, Alice in Chains, Mother Love Bone, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Candlebox. Hell, Steve Miller, Kenny G, Kenny Loggins, Quincy Jones, Ray Charles spent some time here, man. Seattle has the music history, and today we're looking to honor that. But here's the thing about living in Seattle, the city where all of this happened. We, unlike most people in America, put it this way. I know someone who was almost run over by Dave Matthews. That's right, because Dave Matthews lives in Seattle. Doesn't happen anywhere else. Driving his Prius.
Almost got ran over by Dave Matthews.
That's right. But these kinds of things happen.
Did he try to crash into you?
That was good. That was solid.
Thank you.
Miles, you went to one of your kids' high school musical performances, and you said you and this other guy staring at each other going, man, where do I know you from? It was Matt Cameron of Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. Because, again, when you live in Seattle, these kinds of things happen. We've had the opportunity to interview many of these people. Every time we get to, it has been a treat. But more than that, we get to go to the shows. There's the moment when you heard that first song from that band that kind of changed things for you. So we're taking all of that into consideration today, all right? So whether you went to the grocery store and bumped into Duff McKagan, whether your first show was seeing Soundgarden, whatever it might be, today we want to know whether it's a song, a band, the album, a concert, met this person. What is your Seattle rock story?
Be part of the big show. Call 844-999-OLA. You can like The Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to themensroom@mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Hold the shoulders and away we go. Welcome to show number 2797. What a large and in charge program we have for you today. As today, it is Seattle Rock Day. Bitches, nothing but the best from the Seattle rock scene all day long. There is probably only maybe 2 or 3 cities in the world that could spend all day playing nothing but music from that one particular city. I know you mentioned L.A.
Take London and L.A. out of it. Probably
New York.
They almost don't count
maybe?
because of sheer size.
I understand that, and that's fair.
I mean, Boston could probably go for a while. Seattle,
Boston,
obviously.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think as far as
San Francisco, maybe that's one.
Yeah,
right?
you know what? San Francisco could pull off a day, but it would be.
But the difference is, Seattle, you might not like every band, but I would like to think that generally speaking, we put out quality, right?
That's
and again, I go back to L.A., and L.A. gave us a lot of music, but if you do recognize a lot of the massive explosion in the late 80s in Seattle was kind of a direct reflection of the garbage that L.A. was putting out at the same time. Yeah. So you have Poison and Warrant versus Alice in Chains and, say, Pearl Jam. Like, to me, there's no contest. L.A. kind of has, like, L.A. gave us some good bands.
I agree.
Sheer size, sheer volume, no question about it. But they also just served up some turds, man.
And, you know, San Francisco could, if you go back to the Hate era and you look at
the era I'm talking about.
Those bands, and then you go into the 80s, now you have Starship, and now then you...
But you also have Metallica and Faith No More.
You have Steve Miller doing Abracadabra. You've got, I don't know, Smash Mouth.
Where's Smash Mouth from?
San Francisco.
Thank
That's what
God.
I'm saying. Like
Thank God.
Those
no.
type of bands.
But I'm not from Seattle.
As far as the roots of music, and as far as, hell, there's a reason that the Experience Music Project is here in Seattle, and that's just based on Seattle music in general. And the majority of the just the displays that people come in to see and the things going on there are all Seattle-centric. So, as you know, today we're going to dip into more as Ryan Castle took you through the midday, and Taryn is coming in. Also, the Metal Shop guys will be on tonight with even more of Seattle Rock Day. And for you today, we've got the one and only Barrett Martin coming on the program. He is probably the number one drumming guru in the world, I would guess, as far as just the educational, cultural understandings of everything from roots music to jazz. He has been all around the world.
What you're saying is he has time on his hands.
The guy.
That's
is,
what I get from him. Like, I know he's prolific, but I'm like, yeah, but you got time on your hands, man.
He traveled, over over 3 decades and 6 continents to write a book just based on music and community. He teaches at Antioch University here in downtown Seattle. He was a part of the Screaming Trees early on, jazz drummer before that. You might know him from Mad Season, Walking Papers, Levy Walkers. He is involved with Aaron Jones, local musician. He won a goddamn Latin Grammy this year for work he did on an album that was in a Portuguese alternative rock category at the Grammy. So sitting on his shelf in his house, Barrett Martin has a Grammy, and he has...
But if you met him, if you know what he looks like, right, and he invites you to his house, and you saw a Latin Grammy Award, wouldn't you think he stole it? Based on his physical appearance, exactly. I'd be like, come on, man, that's not cool.
He's just, he's an incredible guy and a wealth of knowledge, and as far as the Seattle scene, he's gonna share us some stories, talk about what he's been up to, so he's joining us once again. We're happy to have him back. If you want to sit down and have a beer with anybody in the Seattle rock scene, he's the guy.
And it should be noted that this is the kind of guy, to put it in perspective, and I think you said over a course of 30 years, 6 continents, all this, writes a book, right? He went somewhere for some amount of time, and when he came back, he was like, an ordained Zen monk. Mm-hmm. Like, he's that guy.
Yeah, he's like
who does that?
He was like what Bill Murray was making fun of in Caddyshack when he's talking about the guy like meditating on a glacier, his hands out,
But that's him,
right? It is. No, he's an amazing individual. So Barrett Martin is coming up on the program.
Man, I go on vacation, I come back and I have smallpox or something. He comes back, he is a Zen monk.
I think they got to give all the shots and all that crap too. He's not superhuman. So Barrett's coming up here at 4:30, and today we want to know, what is your Seattle rock story? 844-999-OLA. This could be anything from the first time that you picked up an album, something from Sub Pop, depending on where you were, to being right here in Seattle and seeing, a show that just absolutely blew your mind. And as far as the scene in Seattle goes, there's no greater local music scene in my mind than in Seattle, as far as just how well it's supported by the community, how well it's supported by the fans. I live in Fremont, not too far away from Pearl Jam Studio. There's not a day that goes by that you don't hear somebody in there recording, doing something. There's not a day that goes by.
Watch your bootleg it if you can hear it, man.
Oh, no,
make
people
that
are
money.
Practicing, and, you just walk by and go like, somebody's in there jamming. And hell,
Seattle's a music destination, too.
It is a music
You know what I mean? Like,
destination.
bands from around the world want to come here and play a show in Seattle.
You do because, the fans are receptive. And look, in my younger days, played in a band, and we were a pretty good band, but we were stuck in Baltimore. And the thing about Baltimore, yes, you get Clutch. And Clutch, to me, is a very good representation of most of the music, rock-wise.
Sure.
Like, it's just kind of dirty, it's in your face, but that's what Baltimore is. It's just, there's no jokes. It is what it is. But the rock stations in Baltimore and Philly and most of the East Coast, like where we might play Soundgarden, they would say, this is a great time to play Bon Jovi. This is a great time to play Def Leppard. And those Poison, who
right.
I do hate. I know people like them, but it's just the idea that they don't lean hard. So I'm living in Baltimore at the time that the Seattle scene starts blowing up. And like anything, we heard about it, but this is pre-internet and all this crap. So it's more, a buddy of yours went to Seattle and said, Christ, man, I went to a couple clubs, whatever. So a buddy of mine signed up for Sub Pop, it was at the time. And they
like
sent,
a mailing list.
It was a mailing list. And they sent you cassettes. Occasionally they'd send you a 7-inch, or I want to say Soundgarden got us our first 12-inch. It was still an EP, whatever. So my buddy comes home and he says, I'm on this thing Sub Pop out of Seattle. It meant nothing to me. I'm like, whatever. He's like, there's a bunch of new bands. They sent him, it was crap. Is it Apple or Shine? Whatever the first EP was from Mother Love Bone. Facelift from Alice in Chains, and Ultra Mega OK maybe, or something like that from Soundgarden. But so we had not heard of or heard these bands before. And he gets this stuff in the mail, and we're all roommates at the time. And he put it on, man. And I want to say Facelift was the first album we put on. We put it on, and in that moment, we felt better about the world, just in the sense of, because we weren't big glam rock, because it was just pop. And we've never liked pop. We like rock. Rock became pop for a while. So it seemed like rock was dead to us. We heard this stuff, and we were like, thank God, man. Mm-hmm. Somebody actually plays rock music. And after that, Sub Pop was sending us crap like every 2 weeks, and all of it was awesome. And in that moment, we were like, we need to move to Seattle. We didn't. But no, because we don't make sense in Baltimore. You know what I mean? They want sugar-coated garbage. And in Seattle, clearly, is saying we don't. Right. And we're like, that's the place to be. And then it stayed good the whole time.
So today we want to know what the story is as far as your favorite Seattle rock moment. We've had a lot of wonderful moments as far as the Seattle music community goes. And I will say this: if you ever go to any local shows, if you ever spend any time out there, hell, even my daughter, she sleeps in the back room, keeps the windows open. There is a club, Nectar, down the street from us, and they have live music 7 days a week. And there are times in the summertime where. Yeah, man, they blow it up. And they have rap, they have everything.
Everything.
Right? So my daughter will run downstairs. I'm like, where are you going? She's like, I don't know. I got to find out who this band is. So she'll run down and she'll go and check out the flyer, ask the doorman, like, she can't get in. She's 17. But she's like, who's playing tonight? These guys are great. And stand out there for a while and listen and get down with it. But,
I have a lot of friends. That's their home base.
Where's that, Nectar?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever you like, it's going to play there,
going to
right?
be there.
Within a week, they're going to have a band you like.
There's live music in the neighborhood 7 nights a week. And it's amazing when you go to the shows, man. You'll see a lot of people who are in the Seattle music scene, a lot of people who've been playing for a number of years. It's amazing how connected it is. And it's amazing how decent people are and how accepting and how you can walk up to somebody and say, hey, man, I really love your band. And they'll sit there and they'll talk to you. And no one Seattle's one of those towns where I think that these people who are in that scene and are on a bigger level have the ability to kind of just be normal and not be, it's a different kind of.
The one thing I truly appreciate about the scene, and I will say this again, just going back to my days of playing in a band on the East Coast, everything's rivalry, which is ridiculous because we were so much better than them. But, you moved to Seattle. But you moved to Seattle, but it's great. So, look, at last year's Red Festival, just to put it in perspective, okay? So we had however many bands played at Red Festival, and it was a pretty sizable number.
It was.
And Castle and I always joke, but there's only 8 guys. So one of the rare things about Seattle, in my opinion, is just this. So you had Mother Love Bone, you had Soundgarden, Andrew Wood dies, they do Temple of the Dog, right? There are so many bands in the city that are made up of so many members of other bands that are already doing well.
That's a big machine.
But I think it's the coolest thing because it's like, dude, hey, man, did you get a new guitar? They're like, oh, no, man, this is Gus's guitar from whatever band, he's let me use it. It's cool, man. So, at Red Festival, we had all these different bands that played, but inevitably, 3 of the 4 or 5 members were in the band you also just saw. Mm-hmm. Even though it sounds, but it's just cool that this many people can get along in one particular thing, because it doesn't matter the industry.
The branches of the tree in Seattle is a stick.
But like lawyers are competitive, radio is so-called competitive, TV's competitive, sports are competitive, like everything's competitive. So it's kind of cool when you see like, all right, here's some like-minded individuals that treat everything like an all-star game or the Pro Bowl.
That's it. Our question: What is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Matt. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
All right, so I got two quick stories. They're both about Alice in Chains. One is back in 2013, they had a little impromptu meetup, and I got a really nice, rare 95, the self-titled album vinyl signed by all of them, the current members. That's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
And then the other thing is the song Nutshell, man. The first time I heard it, I was dabbling with opiates, and it like helped me both ways, because the way the song is, it's like, you know, be yourself, but it's also really sad. So like it saved me from like going too deep with heroin to possibly kill myself because I was sad while I was on it. And then when I got off of it, listening to that song, although like it makes me sad that Lane died, I feel really good about myself, I guess you would say.
Well, yeah, you kicked the habit and you're alive. You should feel good about that.
When we first, basically, it wasn't too long after we got to Seattle, and you got to remember after Lane Staley did pass on that Alice in Chains they weren't doing anything,
right?
And for however the meeting happened, and you know they're playing Pain in the Grass this year, but they met up and got a hold of William Duvall, and no one really knew that this was going on, that Alice in Chains was possibly coming back. They were getting back together again. And when they made the announcement, you know, like anybody else, you're kind of skeptical of is this going to be the equivalent of...
We already don't like the singer.
Is this going to be a Gary Cherone thing, or is this going to be a Sammy Hagar thing, or where is this going to go? Is this going to be great? And you knew Alice in Chains wasn't going to get back together again unless it wasn't true to the integrity of Alice in Chains.
Well, we can say that now. But look, going into it, just
you
didn't
know.
You're cynical because so many bands get back together to make some money but suck.
So we had so they get back together again, and we do this giveaway. And you're going to get a chance to see Alice in Chains basically play for the first time, essentially, an acoustic unplugged session at Seattle Center. Is that correct? Seattle Center? Is that where that was? Because they had a laser light show after that and all that stuff. So weren't we up there?
So that was for the album release. But before that, a few months before that, remember, there was this, nobody really knew about it. I'm pretty sure KISW it to announce it. And they had a practice at the Moore. So that was the first time most people saw William.
Okay. All right.
And for my taste, that was the first time I really saw Alice. Well, it was the first time I saw them physically.
Yeah.
But it's the first time also I really knew the music. And I mean, we went to the Moore, and it blew my mind.
Yeah.
But you're right. Then seeing the acoustic thing, and then hearing the whole album in the Laser Light Center at Seattle Center is a very.
It was crazy.
Well, wait, didn't they grab William? I like to call him William. Didn't they grab William because, I don't know, was it getting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or they were doing a tribute for Hart? There was some
that
purpose.
Practice, I remember the Wilson sisters were there.
Yeah, there was some reason, like Alice James was going to get back together to play some songs, but if I remember this right, they were doing it as a favor, and it may have been for Hart, or they're going to back up Hart, or whatever, but they're like, hey man, we need someone to sing some of Lane's parts, you want to do it? William's like, yeah, sure. But it was never the idea.
Okay.
And if I remember this right, so we interviewed William 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember.
A couple of years back.
Very cool guy, by the way, but interviewing him, he's like, it was like a one-off thing. Like, I join him on stage, I do this thing. So I want to say Cantrell calls him a couple of days later and says, hey, we got another one of these gigs. You want to keep doing it? He's like, yeah, man, count me in, absolutely. So Cantrell calls him back a few weeks after that. And essentially, it was something like, hey, man, we're going to record an album. Would you like to sing on it? Do you want to be the singer? And he said the whole thing was casual. So he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that too. And the rest is history. But I guess it kind of just moved that easy.
And don't forget Alice in Chains, a quick plug here, Plugola, Saturday night closer. As 3 days of Pain in the Grass for 2018. They will be the headliner on Saturday night, playing with the Cult, Stone Temple Pilots, and Bush. And don't forget those tickets going on sale Friday morning at 10 a.m. KISW.com.
A couple of comments coming in. First of all, I know I sound like S. Thank you for letting me know. That's 50% of them.
But every day.
Go through.
That's daily.
Right. One that is not insulting toward me. It says, I went to school with Lane Staley. Little known fact. His name was Lane, any guesses in school? His original last name, because he says, I think he changed his name to his stepdad's last name.
Oh.
But in school, it was Lane Elmer.
Lane Elmer.
Lane Elmer.
Oh, all right. Okay, very good.
What's your change the name?
What's your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
You can't blame a person for that, all right? Because there's a couple.
Are you Glue, Lane?
Remember, what is it? In KISS, all right? Who I know is not a Seattle band, but Paul Stanley. His real name is Stanley Eisen.
Stanley Eisen?
Yeah.
Stanley.
He sounds like a lawyer. So you understand what Gene Simmons is what, like Chaim Vitz? Because he's born in Israel, and he's like, yeah,
Have
it's not
you
going to
been
fly.
in an auto accident? I'm Paul Stanley.
Have you been? I didn't forget about you
Have
people
you been
in
injured?
Everett.
I'm Paul Stanley.
Stanley.
Come to
Stanley's just a
Stanley
funny first
Simmons.
name.
Stanley Eisen.
Stanley
that's his name.
Simmons and Freely.
And then because of The Office, I just think of Stanley as like not super emotional.
You know, Paul Stanley and not Stanley, very different.
Yeah, even
Very-
just looks.
Very different. Hello, Myro. Welcome to the men's room.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
Hola!
Hola.
Rocking in the free world.
All right. My story is about the Nirvana Nevermind CD release listening party.
All right.
I worked at Tower Records on Mercer for many, many, many years, so I was always invited to these listening parties. You know, free food and free drink. Hell, I'm there. I don't.
Why not?
don't
Plus,
care
you
who-
get to hang out at Tower Records.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, it wasn't even a job. It was just like, okay, well, I'm going to go to this record store and have fun for 8 hours and get paid and get promo albums and get guest lists. And I go, come on, and go to listening parties. So there was this listening party for Nirvana, and I'm friends with Susie Tennant, who was their kind of their agent, and so half the store was invited to the listening party. I get there, and I'm also an Aberdeen boy, so you know I knew Chris as he was growing up. I worked at a record store in Aberdeen too, so he and Buzz and other folks that buy records from me. So I'm just hanging out, having free food and free drinks, and I'm trying to have a little bit of a conversation with Chris because we're both Croatian also, so we're speaking a little bit.
Got that in common.
But I got to think that goes a long way, man.
Are you a Granger and Croatian? Oh, man.
I mean,
hang out.
how many other Croatians do you run into? I would think that's a shoo-in for conversation, right?
You like
Well, actually,
kayaking?
in Aberdeen, there's a crazy amount of Croatians there.
Is that right?
Just on the street I lived on, there were 17 houses of Croatian families.
Yeah, easy.
But anyway, so I'm talking to Chris, and I'm trying to because he I guess they were partying before the listening party, so it was like trying to talk to him, and then something hits me in the back of the head, and I go, "What the hell is that?" So I turn around. There's Kurt throwing cherry tomatoes, trying to hit Chris, but instead it's hitting me in the back of the head. I go, "Oh well, no biggie."
I got news for you. He's not trying to hit Chris. Chris is 6 foot 10,000 inches. He is the biggest target in the room.
That's cool. You can tell everybody you got hit in the head with a cherry tomato from Kurt Cobain. Oh, Kurt Cobain, yeah. You throw cherry tomatoes in the back of my head one night.
Salted me with vegetables.
Classic.
That's what they do in Seattle. Seattle Rock Day continues. Our question, what is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Seattle Rock Day. Metal Love Bone, Alice in Chains. Don't forget Alice in Chains Night 2, Pain in the Grass 2018. All the details, KISW.com. Those tickets on sale Friday morning at 10 a.m. All right. A part of Seattle Rock Day, we ask you to go to KISW.com and vote in the Seattle Rock Rumble. You did so. Thanks to everybody who went and voted. It came down to Pearl Jam and the legendary Soundgarden. Soundgarden ended up being the winner. And because of that, we feel like it was a good reason to play for you one of our favorite guests on the program of all time, and that would have to be the one and only Chris Cornell. So coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to play for you a couple of excerpts from the last time we get a chance to sit down and talk to Chris. Our question today, what is your Seattle Rock story? 844-999-OLA.
We got a couple of comments here. The first one points out how we were wrong. Which, by the way, don't get excited about yourself when we're wrong. We are wrong so much that just because you're right almost doesn't mean anything. But in this case, we're talking about when Alice in Chains got back together after Lane Staley passed. We're trying to figure out the first shows. You guys were wrong. The first time they played without Lane was for the Tsunami Benefit Show, and back like 2008. It was at Showbox Soto. They had the singer from Damage Plan after Dimebag was killed, Wes from Puddle of Mud, and from Tool.
Oh, all right.
Not a bad lineup.
No, that sounds pretty good to me.
Our bad.
Yeah, we're gonna be wrong all day,
Yeah.
so you can just sit there and write it all down if you want.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.